There is so much noise out in the world, isn't there? I mean, we are pummeled with information every single day. Whether it's social media, TV, radio, newspapers, that's just the external stuff. I'm talking I haven't even started about the internal stuff, the information you get at work, at home. It's tough to keep track of it all, isn't it? I mean, who here can relate? Do you turn it off? Put the phone down, turn the TV off? There's only so much we can take after a while. Now imagine trying to break through all of that, trying to cut through all that clutter and be heard and seen. Maybe you're out there right now. You have an idea, a product, a company that you want people to know about, and it's just not breaking through. Well, here's the good news. There are people who are able to rise above. There are people who are able to get up on top of that information mountain and be seen and heard. And they all have one thing in common. They know how to tell a story better than their competition. They are storytellers. Stories stick. And I'm going to teach you how and why. That's what I do. I teach people how to find and tell their best story. And it almost never happened. Me up here on this stage looking at all of you, you looking back at me, almost never happened, if not for a horribly sounding saxophone. Let me explain. Before I teach you how to tell your story, let me tell a little bit about mine. There are two things that you should know about me. The first is when I was a young kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, I dreamed of being a storyteller when I grew up. More specifically, I dreamed of being a television news reporter at the station that I grew up watching, KARE 11, here in Minneapolis. I was obsessed. The second truth you should know about me. I was so shy as a kid that I didn't think that dream of being a TV reporter would ever become reality. I mean, I couldn't look people in the eye, so how am I going to look them in the eye through a camera? I mean, I was so shy, my sisters would have to call up my friends for me because I was so nervous. They would walk across the street with me and knock on neighbor doors. Hey, do you want to play with Jay? Because I couldn't do it myself. And it didn't get better with age. When I was in middle school, maybe 10, 11 years old, we would go out to a restaurant as a family, and I would be so nervous to order food by myself. I would whisper to my mom, "This is what I want," and then I would put my head down and pretend to sleep. Just, I made the sound too. I mean, you got to own it. I was so shy, but then one day, that all changed. One moment that I thought was insignificant turned out to be anything but. Remember that saxophone I told you about? Well, I played saxophone freshman year of high school. Played. I mean, imagine a goose getting kicked in its side on repeat. Honk. That was me. Band teachers, they're salt of the earth. Thank God for them. So I wanted out. I wasn't good. So I went to my high school guidance counselor, who happened to be my dad. Thank God. And I said, "Dad, I'm not good at band. Can I take a study hall?" He said, "Sure." And I was like, "Yes!" Then he said, "But you're going to have to ask your mom first." And I was like, "No!" Because I knew exactly what she would say. And sure enough, she said it. She said no. But then what she said changed everything for me. She said, "Your sisters had music for one more year, so you will have music for one more year, but you can choose band or choir." And I did choir. And you'll be amazed at what standing up on a stage with 35 other people does for your confidence. Because after that first music, I realized that the world didn't end. So then I was volunteered for a solo. Turns out I can sing, but that's not the important part. What I discovered was the world didn't end. Then I did show choir. Then I did theater. And I realized the world didn't end. What did happen was my confidence skyrocketed to the point where I no longer thought, maybe I can be this TV reporter. I said I can and I should. And sure enough, several years later, I became the lead reporter at the highest rated local newscast in the country at that station I grew up watching, KARE 11. And thanks to a lot of great teammates who helped me along the way, I won a lot of awards, 5 Emmys, for the work that I did. All because my mom told me no. Did you see what I did there? Did you notice what I've been doing the last couple minutes? I was telling you a lot of facts about me, building a relationship with you. But I was doing it with a story. Stories stick. In fact, research shows that a fact wrapped around a story is 22 times more memorable. Let me say that again. A fact wrapped around a story is 22 times more memorable. Imagine your idea, your product, your company, 22 times more memorable. Those are some great odds. It's why I tell people, if you want people to do something, you got to make them feel something first. Let me say that again, because that is my headline for me. If you want people to do something, choose your idea, your product, your company. If you want them to do something, you got to make them feel something first. And the easiest way to do that is telling them a story. That's why I teach people how to recognize and then also tell their best story. And there's 3 ways that I've learned how to tell your story better than anybody else. And what I discovered was, whether it's presentations, movies, commercials, blog posts, they all have these 3 things. I call them the FMCs: focus, moments, characters. Focus, moments, characters. Focus. In a sentence, what is your headline? What is your story about, and why should I care? That's your focus. Moments. What are those moments that you're going to tell folks that are going to keep their attention the whole way through? And once those moments are done, you got to end. And finally, those characters, those people that bring your story to life. Let me give you a quick example. I was consulting with a group of data analysts, data engineers recently. And they were having trouble because their presentations weren't sticking. People weren't understanding the significance of what they were providing. And I quickly realized and coached them that they weren't telling a story. And specifically, they weren't focused, they didn't have moments, and even more specifically, more importantly, they didn't have characters. They gave me a bunch of data points, but they forgot that those data points represent people. People bring your information, your story to life, especially if it's confusing, dense material. So I say again, if you want people to do something, you got to make them feel something first. I am convinced, I believe this with every fiber of my being, that your story matters. And if you know how to tell it, it can move mountains. Thank you.